What is the difference between common stock and preferred stock?
Common stock is what we sometimes say is sweat equity, and preferred stock is financial equity, or it's what you grant to investors. Founders will form the company. Oftentimes we say, set it up with 12 million shares, and then you take 10 million shares, you design your initial cap table, and you issue common stock to the founders. And any other service provider that you hire, a consultant, an employee, an advisor, you're going to give them common stock. Common stock, before you do any preferred equity financing, should be generally the only class of shares that you have at the company. And that's what the service providers get. And that's what we call it, sweat equity, right? They put in their sweat and they earn their equity. It's through work. Then when investors come along, investors are going to want certain what we call rights, privileges, and preferences for their shares. They want certain protections, right? They might want the ability to approve some of the things that the company might do, whether it's raise a bunch of debt, raise a future financing round, and dictate what the terms for other investors are. So there's a list of approval rights that investors will get. There's a list of other downside protections. The classic one is liquidation preference, which we will talk about in another post. Anti-dilution protection, we've talked about in another post, where they get broad-based weighted average protection for future down rounds. So there are all sorts of things that investors will expect to become market standards. And what you do is you create an entirely new class of stock. You call it preferred stock. And every financing round, you'll create a new series within that preferred. So Series Seed is often the first one, and then Series A, B, C, D. You can essentially design the preferred stock within the parameters of what the state law that you're forming it in tells you. But that's essentially what it is. Common stock, founders, service providers; preferred stock, investors, people who will bring financing to the company. A lot of people worry about losing control of the company when investors come in. Because you have these two classes of stock, oftentimes you will negotiate so that the preferred stock only controls certain things, and the common stock generally still has significant governance rights in the company up until the point where you decide to potentially give those away again in a negotiated transaction.